We all have to sleep, but it seems like everyone has a very personal relationship to their sleeping schedules. Some of us sleep a little bit more, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to wake up and fall asleep, and some of us really wake up really early. And this later group seems to be praised by everyone else because they are the hard workers and they wake up really early to conquer the world and do amazing stuff. But that's simply not true. Just because you wake up earlier than someone else doesn't mean that you will produce or accomplish more in that day. Everyone has 24 hours and they can manage their own. My point is that it's more important to be able to manipulate and be in control of when you want to sleep depending of your goals and needs. The point of this video is to give you the tools and the understandings about sleep and how you can manipulate your sleeping schedules so that you can adjust them to your lifestyle and your goals and needs. A good place to start is by talking about chronotypes. It's usually referred to the two extremes, so you have early birds and night owls, and between those there's like a spectrum that you can fall in, and it's basically your body's tendency to prefer to wake up and to fall asleep at a certain time of the day. And this just means that if you don't have a schedule and a preferred time to wake up, your body will naturally prefer to wake up earlier or later in the day. And it's just that, a tendency, so we can actually change that to fit our needs. For example, if you are working, you wake up at a certain time. Probably if you are going to school, you wake up a little bit earlier. If you have a night shift, you wake up later. So we can actually have control over this. But this transition can be quite challenging, so it helps if we know about sleep and how can we affect our sleeping cycles. So our body has naturally some cycles that map the 24-hour periods of a day, and the collection of those cycles are called the circadian rhythm, and sleep is one of them. And the body has a way to track time by itself, and this is often called the master clock, which is basically a collection of around 20,000 neurons in your brain. But this clock is not perfect. It needs some kind of help from the exterior environment to make sure it maps exactly the 24-hour cycle. These environmental cues are often called Zeitgebers, and this includes light from the outside, your meals, your routines when you exercise. And this video I will mainly focus on two, which is the main ones, so this will be light and your routines. So light is obviously one of the most important variables. In our eyes we have receptors for blue wavelength light, and when it's day or night it informs the brain if you go to bed or if you should wake up. Because in the evening there's less blue light, so your body starts producing melatonin, which makes you sleepy, and the reverse happens in the morning. So there's more blue light, so it stops producing melatonin and you eventually wake up. And these sensors are directly connected to the master clock, so that's why light is such an important regulator of sleep. And it's actually quite evident when we look at blind people. Almost 50% have some kind of sleep disorder. But that statistic begs the question, if they are blind, shouldn't they all be affected by a sleeping disorder? So it turns out that the body has different ways and different mechanisms to sync itself to the day-night cycle. In addition to the master clock, we also have tiny clocks throughout our whole body in our cells, and these are called clock genes that are basically independent, and they can influence and be influenced by the master clock. So it's basically our body is a giant clock that is sync itself to the environment to make sure that our circadian rhythm is aligned to the environmental cues. And because of that, not only light but also routines influence how we sleep. So when we are going to bed, when we wake up, of course it influences, but also meals, when you are speaking with people, when you go out with your friends. If you do that often enough, that becomes a habit. The body will interpret that as a way to determine if it's day or if it's night. So now with that knowledge of these two variables, light and routines, we can actually start to shape our sleeping cycles. So the first actionable for this video is that you should try to avoid blue light during the evening. and this means any kind of computers, screens or smartphones, you should try to avoid them or install some kind of software to make sure that blue light is not being emitted. I personally use f.lux for my computer screen. For my Android phone I use Twilight app, and I think iPhones already have this built in the software. And this way you make sure that blue light is not affecting your circadian rhythm. So everything we do from this point on in terms of tactics will not be influenced by the blue light of screens. The next step will be to learn more about your chronotype. So when you tend to wake up, if it's a little bit earlier or a little bit later, probably you already know about this, but there's actually a survey that you can take. So you can go to the link down below. There's a link to the MEQ, so the morningness, eveningness questionnaire, which is basically a test that is done in research in terms of sleep and sleep disorders that you can take, that you can assess when you tend to wake up. So I scored around 59 points, which makes me an early bird or a morning type. So it's kind of nice to just confirm that, and they also give you more information about when you should go to bed and usually when you wake up, so you can actually see, and it's a nice baseline so that you can at least, if you can, adjust to your chronotype. The next logical thing will be to create a routine before you go into bed and after you wake up, because it will actually help our bodies to know if it's day or if it's night and basically sync the circadian rhythm. So before going to bed, make sure you create a routine, a way to tell your body that this is time to sleep. So I don't know, brush your teeth, make yourself a cup of tea, or just read a book, something that you do every single day to create a habit of telling your body that this is sleep time. And the same thing in the morning. So what I usually do now is I wake up usually around 7 and I just go and look out of my window to make sure that the body knows that, okay, blue light means wake up, you cannot sleep anymore, this is daytime. And then I go to the toilet, I brush my teeth, and I go to the gym. And if I do this consistently, I notice that every time I wake up a little bit before 7, so a little bit before the alarm clock. And if you do this enough times, the body would automatically adjust and you'll sleep much better. And it's actually quite nice to wake up a little bit before the alarm clock. It's like a sense of achievement that something is in the right track, that you are starting your day in the good way. So these are basically the main ways that we can manipulate sleep and adjust them to fit our goals and needs. But now I'm curious about you. Why did you need this information? Do you have troubles falling asleep? Do you don't have this type of routines in your life already? Are you more of a morning person or an evening person? So I'll be down in the comments with you guys to answer you guys' questions. And if you want more information and more videos about sleep, definitely let me know. And that's it for today's video. If you want to connect with me in any way, I'll be leaving my Twitter and Instagram here at RoadDelta, and also check roaddelta.com for more content like this and resources. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, like the video if you liked it, and see you on the next video. Bye.